This recorded lecture is dedicated to our completion module for Module 11, or our completion lecture for Module 11. Let's discuss the systematics of phylum Echinodermata. Echinoderms are marine organisms, and there are growing in number in terms of the documented species. I'm not really sure if the number 6,000 is still correct, but of course, given our capacity to document um, animals and be able to identify them, assign particular taxonomic ranks to them, no? We can expect this number to be probably an outdated estimate. No? Now, for the key characteristics of these invertebrate animals, we enumerate or note that they are all radially symmetrical as adults. No? So they are said to be they're said to possess what we call secondary pentamerous radial symmetry. Secondary because only the adult stage manifests radial symmetry. The larva or the immature form of echinoderms, or the immature state of echinoderms, are actually bilaterally symmetrical. Also, we appreciate that they have an internal skeleton or an internal network of canals called the WVS, or the water vascular system. Also goes by the name ambulacral system. So this water vascular system is a network of canals within the body of the echinoderm animal. These canals allow for a number of functions: feeding, movement, regulation of pressure, as well as other activities related to the day-to-day survival of an echinoderm animal. More so, there are a number of other characteristics that we attribute to this phylum. Okay? So they have endoskeleton that's made up of spicules or plates, and these components are either bony or calcareous, rich in calcium. I already mentioned about them, the adult stage having radial symmetry, and unlike other invertebrates um, that we have discussed so far, like the worms, you know, the flatworms, annelids, and nematodes. Okay, echinoderms lack cephalization. There's no definite part that can be identified as the head section of the animal. For respiration, they have dermal branchiae or skin gills. So similar with other invertebrates, they don't really have highly specialized respiratory structures. Instead, the respiration or exchange of gas occurs with in consideration of the simplicity of the animal body. So there are within the surface of the animal, these skin gills or papillae, dermal papillae, are found, and they facilitate gas exchange between the animal and the ambient. The ambulacral system, the WVS, is responsible for a number of functions such as locomotion, food gathering, also respiration, sensation, and excretion. We'll have a deeper discussion about this in a little bit. Also, another defining characteristic of echinoderms is the fact that they possess what we call an MCT, a mutable connective or mutable collagenous tissue, also goes by the name catch tissue. This tissue allows the animal to regenerate in instances where body parts are removed or body parts are lost. That's why most echinoderms are actually considered as model organisms for the study of animal regeneration. So here are some visuals to help us um, reinforce the characteristics, or to remember the characteristics. So the in terms of their surface, no, okay, their integument, so they're spiny skinned. So you can see here, most echinoderms have bony or calcareous spicules, spikes in plate-like structures, no, that serve as the covering of the animal. No? Here are some pictures. You can see, like for case of sea urchins, and then the spicules or plates may come in different morphologies. Okay, already mentioned about radial symmetry. So they have penta-radial symmetry. So the adult form manifests pentamerous radial symmetry, while the larva, the echinoderm larva, is actually bilaterally symmetrical. No? So if you divide the, let's see, do I have a pen here? Okay, so here there are planes that divide the animal into symmetrical hemispheres, so left and right. No? So this is one plane, this is another plane, it's another third, fourth, and the fifth one. That's why it's called pentaradial. On the other hand, for the larva, it's bilaterally symmetrical, divided into left and right hemispheres that look the same. Okay, so here you can see a representative example. So for asteroidea, so you have the sea star, and you can appreciate the um, surface that is on the dorsal side, the aboral and the oral surface, or the ventral surface. Okay. The body types of echinoderms are varied. So depending on the group, or depending on the major group, the major class. So you have sea stars, asteroidea, that have almost dorso-ventrally flattened configuration. We have those that look like flowers. We have the sea lilies. Under Crinoidea, we have those that are similar with sea stars, but are possessing tentacles, or possessing tentacle-like structures. The Opiroidea, the brittle stars. And then the other types, we have the sea cucumbers under Holothuriidea, which are elongated cylindrically, and the sea urchins, which appear as spherical in body plan, or in the terms of their body plan, no, or body form. Okay. Now, for the dermal branchiae, so here you can see the skin gills on the surface of the animal. So these dermal papillae allow for gas exchange. Okay. So they are on the surface of the animal, as already mentioned. The respiratory system is not highly complex compared to vertebrates. Okay. Now, for the WVS, the water vascular system, the ambulacral system, comprising or within the internal body of the animal. So there are several, as mentioned, the WVS is a network of canals. So within the WVS canals, there are water flows. No, water is allowed to flow in these canals, these tubules within the internal body of the animal, and many things happen. Primarily, the animal filters food from the water ambient, allows the animal to also sense if there are nutrients or chemicals within the water ambient that will require them to mount a particular response. Let's say, for example, if there's a predator nearby, possible that the animal is able to sense that via by chemicals secreted by that predator in the water ambient, and the water vascular system is able to detect the presence of such chemical signals. So the animal will require, or the animal will mount a particular response, like it will try to get away from the proximity of the predator. Okay. So to give us a more detailed, for us to discuss more on the WVS, let's have here a schematic. So here, let's take a look at the different structures. The major opening of the water vascular system in echinoderms is called the madreporite, or the mother pore. No? Madre, the term refers, or the term is equated to mother, the word mother, porite, opening. So here, it's a madreporite, um, the major opening of the water vascular system where water enters. No? Then there are succeeding complexities of canals, the stone canal, the ring canal, surrounding which serves like an avenue where radial canals, ring canals actually emanate or come from. No, so additionally, okay, so as you move from the ring canal towards a particular appendage of the animal, you can see succeeding branching of these WVS canals. Okay, so from the ring canal, you have the radial canal as one, radiating to the arms of the animal, the lateral canals, okay, the ampulla after the lateral canal, and we have the tube feet that already opens to the oral surface of the echinoderm. Okay, but this is a more schematic representation of the water vascular system. So the madreporite, ring canal, the radial canals, the ampullae, lateral canals, though not shown here. This one I think is a schematic of a sea urchin, and then ampullae and the tube feet. Okay, so here is a live picture. So you can see the tube feet extending on the oral surface of the animal as the, you can say, terminal structures of the WVS. Okay, some more pictures. Right. Okay, so tube feet, as part of the WVS, allows the animal to move, locate prey, be able to find smaller animals that it can, or smaller organisms that it can consume. Also allows the animal to adhere to a substratum. No? Excretion may also happen in these structures, as well as sensation. Okay. Then, another important character of echinoderms is the presence of a mutable connective tissue, or mutable collagenous tissue. So we have here, as represented by um, a sea star in these pictures. So the overgrowth of one appendage, one arm, primarily coming from if in instances where the animal loses a part. So the mutagen, or mutable, rather, the mutable connective or collagenous tissue allows for growth of the body part that is lost. Mutable, or mutable connective, mutable collagenous, refers to the fact that the tissue is pluripotent and can really give rise to the entire part that is, or that was lost by the animal. Okay? Also, let's take note or remember that echinoderms are deuterostomic animals. We already know the difference, no, between protostomic and deuterostomic animals. So as a review, those animals under deuterostomia forms the anal pore or the anal opening, okay, from or near the blastopore. The blastopore, which is the first opening that develops during embryonic development. So that first opening becomes the anus, no? While mouth develops secondarily on the opposite side of the gut, no, on the opposite side of the gut canal. Okay, so just a review. Take note of the difference between them. So as these concepts will resurface later on, especially in your summative examination. Okay. Aside from being deuterostomic, our echinoderms are triploblastic. So they arise from three germ layers: the endoderm, the ectoderm, and the mesodermal tissue. Okay. So during the early development of echinoderms, the larva is said to be bilaterally symmetrical. We have a common term, a technical term to refer to the larva of echinoderms, and that's called Pluteus or Plutei. And there are different types, depending on different morphologies, depending on the systematic grouping. Okay, so here are some examples. Okay, so the Pluteus larva is transparent, not really pigmented. So you get to appreciate its live appearance as having as colorless or non-pigmented. No? And as the animal metamorphosizes to its adult stage, then it assumes a it assumes a um, bilateral, it assumes a pentaradial symmetrical plan, no, or pattern. Okay, so here it's just a schematic on echinoderm development. So the key representative structure. So will not really be much of a concern in our class, since this is a systematics class. We don't really have to dive into the developmental pattern of these animals. I'm sure you'll cover them in your developmental biology course. Okay? All right. So, to review the systematics of echinoderms, okay? So, they're we consider them as the closest to the chordata, the phylum chordata, um, primarily by having the following characteristics. So here, at the base of this pilogram, so take note of these important characters that are shared by deuterostomic animals. Okay? And later on, a few characteristics deviate them or delineate echinoderms from the chordates, such as the dorsal hollow nerve cord, appearance of pharyngeal gill slits during the embryonic development of the animal, and also uh, ciliated tentacles containing mesocoel. We'll cover this discussion or these concepts in our last recorded lecture. Okay? Under Echinodermata, we have the primary grouping as shown here. So we have uh, the characteristics noted, okay, from uh, Homalozoa and Helicoplacoidea, which are extinct groups already. No? So we have Crinoidea under Pelmatozoa, primarily having the pentaradial symmetry, the number of open ambulacral grooves, the mouth and anus on the oral surface, and the attachment of the animal, or the tendency of the animal to attach to a substratum. No? So we have under Pelmatozoa, the Crinoidea, and under the Eleutherozoa, we have the other groups: Asteroidea, Operoidea, Echinoidea, and Holotheroidea. Okay? So we'll now cover the different classifications, the major ones, under Echinodermata. Before we do that, I will uh, divide, or I'll stop the recording at this juncture. So okay, discard. I'll stop the recording at this juncture so we can get to have the discussion, or we can minimize screen time on your end. So this will be part one for module 11.